This is Dudes Who Bet Sports.
What is up, everybody? We are back for Dudes Who Bet Sports, and it is our favorite show of the year each and every year because the preseason talk is over, Papa Dude. We finally get to talk about games and what we're going to bet instead of future wagers. I could not be more excited. It doesn't feel like football season to me yet. I don't know about you, but I couldn't be more excited. How about you?
It never does when it's this hot.
Yeah.
You know, it's just miserable right now. And it's supposed to cool off tomorrow a little bit. Cool weekend, Labor Day weekend for us in the 80s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't feel like football till we get a little bit of color on the leaves and the leaves start falling. And we played 2 or 3 games, you know?
There's our guy, Curtis Kalleward of FanDuel TV. You might know him as Magic if you watch our website. But, yeah, he's here with us today. Shotty's with us today as well, ready to go for football. I'm with you. I agree with everything you just said. It is so awkward this first week, and then you kind of get back into it after this, I feel like. So, and Rob agreeing with you, though, too damn hot for here for football. It really doesn't get football weather where we live until October, honestly.
Yes.
So.
We'll smother the first 3 or 4 games. In fact, we're getting a break in the weather tomorrow night. It's usually 100 plus.
Oh, let me tell you, when I saw the forecast, OU plays tomorrow night. We'll talk about the game in a second. When I saw the forecast, I thought, oh, thank the good Lord, that is going to be nice. We're going to be low 80s, high 70s, and that's usually low 100s, high 90s for us when we kick off.
I'll never forget that first game we went to after we got our season tickets. My God, that was the hottest thing. It was just unbearable. 110, I think it was. And I think the real temperature was 105, 106.
Yep.
And that was at night.
Yep. It was just disgusting. But it was a good memory because that kicked off the national championship season.
That's true.
It was good. We haven't had one of those since. So.
No, we haven't. We've had a lot of high expectations, and that was a year we didn't have any expectations. And they won it all.
Well, we're probably not going to get one this year either. So, oh well.
That's right.
But, all right. Well,
this year.
yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk real quick about the Travers. We got to talk about it for a second before we get into it. We'll be real quick. I know nobody's here for the football, but first time I've been on the air since the Travers. That's what you want, when you got a big race like that, you want it to come down like to what it did. You want the stars to show up and run their races. Maybe Dornock didn't, but he still got 4th. The top 4 horses going in, finished 1, 2, 3, 4, coming out of it, maybe not in order, but the filly, Torpedo Anna, it looked like she was going to run a good second, but maybe get beat a couple of lengths. And boy, does she dig in. She almost gets there a couple strides after she does. What was your overall thoughts of the Travers?
I thought it was a great race. Fierceness showed that he can run 2 races in a row, which was great. I thought he was tremendous.
Yeah.
And of course, that filly was fantastic as well. Sierra Leone, same as always, you're right. The top 4 did what they were supposed to do. Dornock maybe disappointed, like you said, a little bit, but I think most of us don't think he's quite as good as Fierceness when Fierceness is at his best.
Yep.
And the same with the other one. So with the filly as well. So wouldn't be disappointed in the way the horse ran for sure.
Yeah. With every stride, the crowd got louder and louder. It was really, really a special sight. And I think most of us watching thought, okay, she's not going to disappoint herself or not disappoint us. So not that she would care, but it kind of at the top of the stretch kind of looked like she's going to run second. She's got these other horses beat. She's going to finish about 3 behind Fierceness because he just freaked and she's not good enough. To see that live and in person, see that horse come after that horse, that was really breathtaking. And when I got home, Heather said, boy, you got to be disappointed she didn't get it done. And I was like, I'm not at all because she proved who she was in that race. And when you get with Fierceness running that well, I mean, nobody gains ground on him when he does that. She did. And look, she didn't lose that race, right? Both those horses were just fantastic. You just knocked you tip the cap to Fierceness, incredible effort, and then you tip the cap to the runner up because she was incredible as well.
Yeah,
so it's what you want. It's what you want.
I think most of us have thought all along Fierceness is the best horse out there.
Yeah,
when he brings it, and he just doesn't do it. Sometimes maybe they've got him figured out now. Maybe he's got him figured out because that's 2 in a row.
Yep.
where he's brought it, and he had to bring it to beat her.
Yep.
And he got enough of a lead to where he could hold her off. So
it was awesome. No doubt about it. Curtis asked thoughts on Brian Hernandez getting suspended and fined for hitting Torpedo Anna one too many times. So you can only hit a horse 6 times with the whip. He hit her 7. I mean, I don't have any thoughts on that.
When you're in a race like that, are you counting? I mean, come on. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
The guy's out there trying to make history.
2, 3, 4. Oh shit! I can't hit her but 2 more times. You know, you're trying to win a race.
Well, he's trying to make history out there. He's trying to be the first filly to win since 1915. He's trying everything he can. The horse is responding. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
If she's 3 lengths behind, you hit her 4 times and she's not making up any ground, don't hit her 7. But trying to win a race here. So, I mean, that's just.
I mean, if he'd hit her 15 times, okay. But 7?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Sometimes I just can't figure. I mean, who's up there counting them too? I like that. Somebody's like, "Hey, you're in charge of counting how many times they hit them with the whip." You know, it's just I don't get it. There's a lot of things I don't get, and that's one of them.
Yeah. A couple of comments about City of Troy, favorite for the Breeders' Cup Classic. I don't think he'll actually be the favorite, but that is something that's happening right now. And then Rob says, can we stop putting Forever Young in the Breeders' Cup Classic? No, because what? Well, Magic just said it. Derma Sotogate kind of did the same exact thing, the same path that Forever Young is going to take. So we'll just have to see how he comes back. But you know, it's just that's kind of how it goes when those horses ship over here from Japan. Then when they go back, they take a break and then they usually run pretty darn well. All right, let's get to college football now. We're going to do the top 25, and then we'll cover a couple more games after we do the top 25. Kind of round this thing out because some of these are not great games, and we will talk about some that are. But the top 25 roundups where we'll start tonight. Western Carolina against North Carolina State. North Carolina State 32.5-point favorite. Total 6 at 61.5. You're high on North Carolina State. What do you want to see out of them tonight?
Well, there's so many of these games. They're nothing. I mean, we're not going to find out anything about them tonight.
Right. We'll go through a lot of these pretty quickly, and then we'll kind of hammer in on some other.
The only thing we're going to find out is if they win 17-6.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
yeah. And I heard OU's people kind of talking. It's like you know, if they go out and win 55-7, that's what they're supposed to do. What you do learn though is if you go out and win 24-14, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. And these games, I would caution anybody betting these games because you just simply don't know what could happen late in the game. For example, Missouri's a 48-point favorite over Murray State. They could get up 55-0 and put the 6th team in there and give up 14 points. You know, it happens sometimes. So I think all we can look for in this game and the next one is the favorite comes out and does what they're supposed to do. Like you said, that's about all you can do.
Yeah, I think we're North Carolina State and Missouri both, as long as you're close to covering, you know, and it's a situation like you said, if you lose it late, if you've got it covered and you lose it late, or you win by 41 instead of 48, or in North Carolina State's case, you know, 31 instead of 32.5, it doesn't really matter.
Sense. You
just want to see them sharp and you want to see easy victories, and we'll keep going. All 4 of these ranked teams tonight. Lindenwood taking on Kansas. Kansas is a 45.5-point favorite, and then Utah taking on Southern Utah. I got to comment on the Utah game real quick. Utah's 38.5-point favorites. I'm playing Utah, and here's why. Their defense will absolutely suffocate Southern Utah.
I would think
38.5 is different from being in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this offense is going to be ready to roll for Utah tonight. Getting the quarterback back after the year-long injury, I just kind of feel like that's a manageable spread. That's something I would play. These other ones, maybe not as much. I think Utah will suffocate Southern Utah. And anytime I look at it and go, I think this defense will give up 7 or less, well, then I don't have a problem playing it. So I am going to play Utah. Thoughts on these 2 games just real quickly?
Yeah. The only thing I would caution on the Utah is, let's say they get way ahead and say it's 38-0 at the half. They may not play rising to the second half. It'd be the only thing.
Yeah.
But their backup's probably good enough to punch in a couple of scores. This Kansas game, Lindenwood. Okay,
Yeah.
are they still D2? I know they went D1 in basketball.
I think they're FCS now.
I tell you that's a that's a big step up for them because they were in the conference our school is in and couldn't win much there. But I know they did go D1 in basketball, so they probably have jumped up. Small school up around the St. Louis area is where Lindenwood is in St. Charles, Missouri. That should be an easy one for the Jayhawks.
I would think so. And the Kansas situation, so kind of a note before the season starts to kind of throw out there for Kansas, they're going to kind of be nomads this year. Their stadium is under construction. Now, when that stadium is done, it looks like it's going to be very nice. And it's a pretty good setting for football, believe it or not. People have never been to Lawrence.
Yeah. You and I have been there a couple times.
Yeah.
Beautiful setting.
The crowd, both times we were there, not great, but they definitely – they've got a facility that's pretty nice, and it's going to be even nicer when it's done. But they're going to play in a soccer stadium for half their games, and then they're going to play at Arrowhead for the other half. I would say the soccer stadium, if they pack the place, that could be an interesting atmosphere. It's obviously smaller. We've been to OU Kansas at Arrowhead Stadium. They played it once. It was odd to say the least. There wasn't anybody in the upper decks hardly, and I don't know what that's going to be like for Kansas.
Well,
this year.
I don't see them packing Arrowhead.
No
matter what? So it is an issue. Obviously, this game tonight, tonight will be at the soccer field.
I don't know what KU fans will. I don't know if they'll go to this tonight. I'll be interested to see the crowd, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, they're pretty highly ranked, obviously.
Yeah.
I bet that thing doesn't hold more than 20,000 at the most.
Probably, just a guess. Yeah.
I would think they could get 20,000 in there.
Well,
I don't know though. That game is a nothing game. And look at the ticket, $48.
Yeah, but fairly highly priced tickets, which tells me there's not a lot of them around because it's small.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's it for Thursday. We'll come back to Thursday. Don't worry for some other games. Here's the score from last week. We'll talk about it in a second. But let's go to Friday. The only ranked game on Friday is the Oklahoma game. Temple goes to Oklahoma. Oklahoma 42.5-point favorite. Another game where you just kind of look at it and go, you got to be around the spread. Maybe you cover it. Maybe you don't. That's kind of where the luck comes in. But OU's got to come out and beat this team pretty soundly if you want to have any expectations.
Yeah, I mean, they can't thrash around and win 28-17.
Yeah.
To this team, they have to totally dominate them. Everybody's thinking they will. And you'll walk out of there, hopefully, and they've won 50-0, and you get in the car and you go, well, that was a waste of time.
Yep.
So we didn't learn much tonight. I mean, they looked sharp, and that was it. Because you gain – all this is if you're good. If you're good, this is just a scrimmage, basically. Yeah. And that's no knock on Temple. They're struggling right now. And look at the ticket there, $21. And I've heard they're having a hard time selling this thing out tonight.
They actually just yesterday officially sold the game out. And they've had a streak. Every game since 2000 has been sold out. And this one was
every
close.
Game since Stoops came, Aaron.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1999. I'm sorry, 1999. Has been sold out every home game. This one, they were thinking it might not be Friday night, and it's Temple, but they did get it sold out. Yeah.
Well, they probably gave some tickets to some people to keep this streak going.
We have noticed, and I remember when they had the hurricane down in New Orleans, and Tulane had to come to Oklahoma. Now this game you've had a year to know, but that game it was like 7 days maybe before that game they announced it, and we showed up thinking this is going to be a sellout crowd.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody there really. No. So, I think people are in the routine of, hey, it's Saturday. That's football day, not Friday. And I think that hurts some people. And also high school football is such a huge deal in the state of Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
And
it is anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. And this is high school football day.
I think everybody, I was listening to Sooner Scoop. They were talking about it. I think I heard this right. Everybody's playing in Oklahoma this weekend, or was it everybody's in Texas playing this weekend? They were talking about Texas and Oklahoma high school football. I can't remember. I was thinking they were talking that everyone in Oklahoma plays this weekend.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, everybody's getting a little bit of a late start on the high school level around here. Usually they've had a game or two by Labor Day.
Yeah.
And things are a little late this year because of the calendar.
All right, well, let's move on to Saturday. This is a ranked matchup. We'll see if it kind of lives up to the hype. Clemson and Georgia, they will kick it off this weekend at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. And it's Georgia, a 13.5-point favorite here over Clemson. Can the Tigers make a run at the Bulldogs? Can they make this thing close? Can they make it closer than the spread? What do you think about this one?
I think the line is really playable. I really do. I thought it would be more than this. I mean, they shredded them last year. We know Clemson will have a good defense. We know that. They always do.
Yeah.
Their question is, can they move the ball on Georgia? They did not last year. They got the same people this year, pretty much. Same quarterback, everything else. This is one of my best bets. I'm taking Georgia to cover this one pretty easy. I just think the lack of a really – to beat Georgia, you got to have a really good quarterback. You got to have an offense that's dynamic. They can do a lot of things. Clemson doesn't have that type of offense, and I just don't think they can stay in there with their defense the whole game and keep this under 14. I can see Clemson not scoring more than 10. Do you see it that way?
I think Georgia will destroy Clemson. I'm going to be a best bet for me as well. I think they win. I think they cover. I am with you. I do not think Clemson will be able to score enough points to stay with the Bulldogs. It's a prideful, team, Clemson, a prideful program. Maybe they can come out and make it close for a little bit, but the Georgia players are way better, and I think Georgia covers this easy. If they're ready to go, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be.
No, they'll be ready.
Easy cover for Georgia. I'm with you on that one. This is a sneaky one here.
It is.
Penn State, the number 8 team in the country, starting the season off here on the road against West Virginia. Now, West Virginia was not awful last year. They got a little bit better. They weren't great. They got better. They're at home, a very tough place to play. It's the opening game of the season. Penn State is an 8-point favorite, so Vegas still thinks Penn State is in good shape here. What say you about the Penn State-West Virginia game?
You covered it pretty good. I think this one's sneaky, and I would be scared to death if I was Penn State. Opening game of the season, you don't really know what's going on with your team. You think you have them ready, but sometimes you don't. You don't know quite what you can do well and what you can't. West Virginia is one of those teams. Their quarterback is pretty good. It's a scary place to go. They'll pack that thing. We've been up there a lot of, not you and I personally, but OU's been up there a lot of times. Tough atmosphere, tough games. I don't think Penn State's going to lose, but I don't know if they're going to cover 8 points. I don't know. So that's one I think I'm going to stay away from it. Yeah. It all depends. Can West Virginia stay with them defensively? Is their defense good enough to take that pounding that Penn State's going to do?
I think Penn State's going to cover, but
yeah.
I'm with you. I'm not going to play it.
No.
The first game we talked about, automatic. I mean, I'm just going to crush it. Whatever happens. This game, I'm with you. I think Penn State will beat them late and be able to kind of maybe not pull away, but pull away from the spread, get over the spread, get to 10, 14 points. I think this will be a battle early.
Yeah.
And I think the key to the game is going to be if Penn State doesn't make a couple of mistakes and give West Virginia points, I think Penn State will cover.
Yeah.
If they don't play all that well, if they turn it over a time or two, give West Virginia a short field or give them a touchdown they shouldn't have gave them, they could get beat. I really feel like it's that kind of game.
No question about it.
If Penn State's going to have to be sharp, but I think they'll be good enough to do it. I think they cover here, but very interesting game. I wouldn't be shocked either way. I think the first game, the Clemson-Georgia game, I think you're going to, in the second half, you're going to turn it over to this Penn State-West Virginia game because I think the Georgia-Clemson game might be out of hand, and this one's going to be tight. So that's kind of my prediction. All right. Now, listen, Iowa and Illinois State is who we'll go to next. And both of these programs that are ranked, when they're playing a team like Illinois State, you go, okay, well, hopefully they win or, hopefully they cover the spread. But if they don't, hopefully it's close. Okay, Iowa, they're 22.5-point favorites because Illinois State. Are they on upset alert? That's the
I don't think
question.
they're on upset alert.
I don't think so either.
They play this type of game every year.
Yep.
It's usually Northern Iowa or somebody like that. I think they played North Dakota State a couple times. I don't know how good Illinois State is. You know, they're usually okay, but they're not as good as some of these FCS teams that they've played in the past. However, 22.5, I don't remember the last time they beat one of those schools by that many points. I'm not going to play it just because I don't know enough about Illinois State, but I don't think I can take Iowa at minus 22.5 against anybody.
Total minus 22.5, and the total is sitting right there at 40.5. So incredibly low. The total of this game at 40.5. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. Iowa, new quarterback. Maybe that can, make a difference.
Well, he's better than what they had.
Anybody would be, but I think if they give up more than 10 points, they're not going to cover this.
I don't either.
So I'm with you. I'm going to stay away from this one as well. I just don't see.
I think we're looking 24-7, maybe 28-7. That doesn't cover. So
yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Now, if Illinois State turns it over, then that's a different story.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you hit it on the head. And I agree. This Illinois State team is not quite as good as what Iowa usually plays that first game. Like a Northern Iowa, they're tough out. Yeah,
and that's a rivalry too.
Right. So this one doesn't have that aspect, and maybe that they do cover, but I wouldn't play it. I just This is low to me. Chattanooga on the road against Tennessee. Chattanooga is not very good. Tennessee's only a 38. I say only, but they're only a 38.5-point favorite. This is an explosive offense. They are breaking in a new quarterback. He's supposed to be very, very good.
Yeah.
Listen, I kind of think Tennessee is a little bit of a play here. I've seen Chattanooga before. Of course, that was a long time ago. They're not very good, but
I think it's because they got the new quarterback, probably.
Don't you feel like they're going to put up points in this game, though?
Well, I would think.
Yeah.
I would think. We'll just have to see, let's see. Early games, I just don't like to play those big point spreads, but they should kick the snot out of them, but I don't know.
I'm playing this one. This one, the Utah one, I'm going to go in on because I
like the Utah one really well.
And again, I just really don't think I can overstate enough. If a line is 45.5 versus 38.5 or 42.5 versus 38.5, I really believe that 38.5 is a big difference.
Yeah.
It's okay. So Chattanooga's gotten better, I guess. They're ranked 8 in the preseason. So yeah, maybe, but still, they're playing Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I'm not really worried about that, honestly. All right, let's keep going.
How about this one?
Okay, so and this is one I know. South Dakota State, a very, very good every single season in the FCS. They are very good. They go on the road to take on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, a 9.5-point favorite, only a 9.5-point favorite. That shows you the respect for South Dakota State. Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama at home last year. They lose games like this at times. This is interesting. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
I think this is fascinating. Here we have the number 17 team in the country.
Yeah.
How can the number 17 team in the country at home only be a favored by 9.5 points against this team from a lower division? It really shows you the respect Vegas has for South Dakota State, or maybe the lack of respect they have for Oklahoma State.
A little bit.
When I saw this, your my niece and your cousin, we were sitting here talking this morning about it, and I said, God, I think this is ludicrous, this line, but I can't bet it. So, because I don't know. Here's the difference, though. I do think Oklahoma State has heard this all summer.
Yeah.
And all through training camp. They know this team's good. So I can't imagine them coming into this not aware of they could get beat in this game if they screw around. So where I'm getting with this, I would have to think they are motivated and they know this team is good. I would have to think.
I would think. Yeah.
Whereas South Alabama last year, there was no hype on that game at all.
No.
But when you're playing a team that's won 29 games in a row and dominated on most of them, that's going to grab your attention, especially when it's the first game of the year. The only other thing, though, is they play Arkansas next week. Could they be looking ahead? The coaching staff down there has shown them tape of that South Alabama massacre.
Yep.
It's got to be in their head. If I was going to bet it, I'd take Oklahoma State to cover. I would.
So, let me ask you this. Who's a better team, South Dakota State or Arkansas? If they played on a neutral field.
I would have to bet Arkansas to win.
I guess my point is it's going to be very interesting what the line is next week. Will Arkansas be more or less of a favorite or underdog, I should say, than South Dakota?
You're saying if Oklahoma State wins, let's say they cover.
Let's pretend Oklahoma State wins by 14 points.
Okay.
In Arkansas, I think they're playing Pine Bluff.
Yeah.
And Will Arkansas be more or less than a 9.5 point underdog?
If Arkansas comes in as a 14-point underdog,
right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think they will because they're from the SEC.
I don't either.
But they might. It'll be interesting. It all's going to depend on how Oklahoma State plays.
I asked the question because Dennis brought up. So would South Dakota State be in the top 50 in Division I football? And I think when you think of Arkansas, I don't know. I mean, they're probably 50, 60, 70, right around in there, give or take, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, depending on what happens this season. But I think comparing Arkansas coming in here next week, what Vegas thinks of them, unless Oklahoma State wins like 50-0, then it's going to be skewed. But if Oklahoma State has a decent win, Arkansas gets a big win, what will that line be? I think Vegas will kind of answer Dennis's question next week. So I think that'll be very interesting to come back to. Because look, I mean, 9.5. I mean, that's we're going to talk about North Dakota State and Colorado, and that's a similar line in that game. Yeah. But Colorado is not very good.
No,
this is a ranked opponent, so it's very interesting.
It is. It's a fascinating line. I'm really interested in watching this game. I really am. There is one thing that I don't know if you watched any of Montana State, New Mexico the other day. Did you see any? No, you were on the road.
No.
Well, Montana State is a highly ranked FCS school as well. New Mexico is shit. And it was 31-10, New Mexico. And they blew it late. I'm throwing that out there. It's a little bit of a comparison between the two levels. South Dakota State's way better than Montana State. If South Dakota State was in D1, they probably would be in some conference like Mountain West, maybe.
Yeah.
That would be a fit, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, the difference between D1 and the FCS is you're going up against D1 athletes every week.
Right. Yeah.
And the wear and tear on your body, you might lose some games in that situation. I would think a South Dakota State team going into the Mountain West with schools like Fresno State and Boise State, they'd lose 3 or 4 games.
Probably. Yeah.
So, no, I don't think they would be in the top 50. No.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think this is an intriguing game. I think Oklahoma State's going to cover. I'm going to go Oklahoma State in this one.
It's a game that if you got any faith in the top 25, you got to bet Oklahoma State, don't you?
I don't even hardly look at the top 25, but I do feel like they've got to be better than South Dakota State. I don't know if they're 10 points better or not, but they've got to be better.
If they're ready, I think they cover.
Right. Yep. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. Let's go to Akron and Ohio State next. This is another one we're back to let's see what happens. Ohio State, 48.5 point favorite. They'll cover it or they won't, but it'll be close either way, I bet. Yeah. Will Howard at quarterback. I think it's going to be the biggest thing. Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma, and then now Will Arnold, more experience. You know what he looks like, but what's he going to look like at Ohio State? So Is that going to be kind of the only thing you're looking for here? How they look offensively?
I don't care what happens here.
Okay.
I'm not looking for nothing. Akron's
Okay.
terrible.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
Colorado State and Texas. Texas, I will say, just a 32-point favorite. I thought they'd be favored by a little bit more. This looks playable. Colorado State's got a decent roster, though.
They do.
Any thoughts on this game?
I could see Colorado State beating that spread.
I could too.
I could. I looked at it. Texas has a tendency to be full of themselves early in the year, and they could be overlooking this a little bit. Don't they have Michigan next week?
Mm-hmm.
So Colorado State came on a little bit towards the end of the year and played pretty well last year, and they got some guys back. They're rated pretty highly in the Mountain West. I can't take Texas over 32. I can't. Maybe, and again, don't listen to me too much when it comes to Texas because I hate them. So I tend to always downplay them some, but I can see them overlooking them just a little bit.
I'm going to take Texas. I do think it'll be closer early, but I do think Texas pulls away. They're going to be bigger. They're going to be stronger. They're going to be able to push them around a little bit. And I think offensively, I expect Colorado State to do some nice things. I think defensively, they're not going to be there, though.
Fantastic, tough Texas defense is so vastly overrated every year.
Yeah, I think Colorado State will be able to move the ball, but that's kind of where it ends for me. I don't think defensively they're ready for anything like Texas. All right, this is a truly fascinating game, and I don't know what it'll mean for either team for a win here, because I don't know if either one of these teams are any good or if maybe they're better than you think. But number 19, Miami, goes on the road to take on Florida. Miami is a 2.5-point favorite. They're getting preseason hype. Big deal. They do every single year, and they rarely live up to it. Florida, they've already got the coach fired down at Florida. It is a disaster. It's a mess, all this stuff. I think Florida can beat Miami in the Swamp the first game of the season. What about you?
Well, I think if they don't, they're going to win like 4 games.
I agree.
They got the toughest schedule in the country. It's brutal.
Yeah.
They got to win this one. I'm not close to the Florida program at all. I've heard all the BS about the coach. I think the guy's a good coach. A lot of people don't. I think what he did at Louisiana was great. I think he just can't get this thing quite straightened out yet. They're close in games. They struggle to win them. We know what Miami is. They're poorly coached. The guy can recruit. That's it. I'm going Florida all the way. I didn't even hesitate. I think the Gators, if they don't turn the ball over, if they get any kind of quarterback play at all, I think they beat them.
I think they beat them, and I don't think that means they're good. I just think it means Miami's Miami. I can't point to a game and go, okay, that Miami team from last year will go to Florida and win. I don't know. I'm not high on them. When's the last time they've really done anything? It's been a long time. They do. I know, like, everybody's high on the quarterback of Miami. Everybody's thinking they're going to be really good.
Now, which one have they got again?
They got Cam Ward. So
they don't. He's okay.
He's okay. Yeah, that's how I describe him. Yeah,
he's not going to turn them into an 11-1 team.
You know what we're starting to see in college football, and we saw it last week, I should say, with the big Cinco, or the big Stinko, as you call him. We're starting to see, like, it's like NFL quarterbacks. They just bounce around and they're just good enough to win jobs, but they're not good enough to get the program to the next level, or an NFL, the team, to the next level. We're getting that in college football with this transfer thing. These quarterbacks, they pop up. They're at a new team every year, and you look at it and you go, well, God, they weren't very good there. Why are they going to be good here, type of thing, you know?
No.
So,
it doesn't make any sense why they bounce when you're at a D1 program, a power conference.
Yeah.
And you had a fairly good year. Why do you transfer to another one? It doesn't make any sense. Now, some of these guys that are at the lesser programs that move up, like the kid from Duke going to Notre Dame, that makes some sense. If he thinks he's good enough, he's going to have a better team around him at Notre Dame than he would at Duke. No knock on Duke, but it's just a fact. Grayson McCall transferring where he did makes sense. It makes sense. But the clown that is at Florida State, this guy's never been any good.
Mm-mm.
And he hasn't changed.
No. We'll talk about them.
I don't know why people don't talk about his lack of speed. He has no speed.
He has no elusiveness. He can't get away. No escapability whatsoever.
Tries to run that zone read. My God, a turtle could track him down. I mean, it takes him forever to get going. It's just awful.
He's huge, but he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't have any speed, and I don't know. It's rough. It's really rough.
It is. I don't know.
We'll talk about him more in a second. Let's go to Western Kentucky and Alabama. Alabama, I'll say it again, only a 31.5-point favorite here. Western Kentucky's decent, but Alabama, if things are ironed out and ready to roll, I think they're going to stomp.
Well, I do too. I looked at this a little bit because Western Kentucky can score. They've always got a good offense. And maybe that's why that line is where it's at. And the fact that Alabama's not as well respected as probably they should be.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to respect them yet. You can't bet against Alabama at 31.5. You just can't.
No,
I can't.
I'm taking Alabama. I think they'll be fine. I don't know to what level. I don't know if they're going to be just amazing or whatever, but I think they'll be fine. I think they're still going to be very, very good.
They have some players.
Yeah, absolutely. Furman and Ole Miss. This is kind of you skipping this 42-point favorite here for Ole Miss.
Well, they should win by a lot more than that if they're the number 6 team in the country. The greatest thing there was, don't you think?
I totally agree. I don't think that'll be much of a challenge one way or the other. UT Martin and Kansas State. Kansas State sitting there at a 37-point favorite. These are games that they're kind of Iowa light. Sometimes they struggle with these kind of games, but not as often. As good as they're supposed to be.
It doesn't usually come down to a late field goal.
No.
I don't know, though. 37's a lot.
A team like K-State, I'm staying away from with that kind of spread.
Yep.
Not to say they can't, just I don't trust them quite as much.
No, absolutely not.
Idaho and Oregon. This is, another one. You throw it in the bucket with some of the other ones we've talked about. It's either they're going to be close, whether they cover it or not, who knows? But this should be a romp. And for me, I'm going to look for Dylan Gabriel and what he does. Is there anything else you're looking for in this one?
No, I probably won't watch a play of that one because the next game's at the same time.
Yes, and the next game is going to be something. Notre Dame goes on the road to take on Texas A&M in a battle of how overrated will each of these programs be, kind of like really Miami and Florida, although Florida not this year. But every year these programs are vastly, vastly overvalued and overrated. Notre Dame probably less than A&M. A&M has been perennially the most overrated team in the history of college football.
Yep.
New coach, better coach.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
They're now a 3-point favorite. This open is a pick 'em, so that people are really leaning towards A&M. What are your thoughts on Notre Dame A&M?
I would really like it better if Notre Dame was favored. I don't like them as underdogs. Does that make any sense?
I don't either. When I bet this game originally, it was a pick 'em game.
I know.
So I'm shocked that the line has moved like this.
I am too. And I was all over this when Notre Dame was a 1-point favorite or a pick 'em game.
Yeah.
I don't like Notre Dame coming in there as an underdog ever because it seems to me like they play better when they're the underdog. When A&M is supposed to win, they don't play as well, if that makes any sense. I think this is going to be a tremendous game. I do. I think it's going to be fun. That place is going to be absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Sold out. $168 for a ticket. That's as low as you're going to get.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised it's not higher than that. We've been at OU when Notre Dame came to town. There's just something special.
Yep.
When they're in your stadium.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter whether they've won 2 games or 10 games. When they are there, they just have this presence about them, and their fans are sophisticated. It seems like to me, it was an odd feeling. It was like, it was really strange. So when they come to your stadium, it's special. I'm going to go with the Aggies because I picked them pretty high this year. I think this is the only game Notre Dame loses all year.
Well, I'm going to go Texas A&M as well. And I described this game to somebody earlier in the week as the game that you're most likely to be pissed off at once
Well,
it's
that's true.
over. Because when you pick A&M, you're not going to feel good about it. You pick Notre Dame, you're not going to feel good about it. And if you lose it, you go, well, why did I pick Notre Dame? Why did I pick A&M? Well, you got to pick one of them, you know? And so I just feel like A&M's got the talent. I feel like they've got the coach now.
Yep.
I think they're better than Notre Dame. I just think the Notre Dame hype is crazy. Yes, I know the schedule is very
It's
easy,
the
but
schedule. That's what
but
it is.
still, you still got to be a decent team to win some of these games. Some of these, and this happens the preseason to all of us, including myself. I'm not, talking down to anybody because I'm talking to myself just as much. A lot of times when we open up our preview book or you got it online, and you say, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. Those games that you write wins on, they're not really automatic once they actually play them, And so that's the thing. Ask Florida State fans. I don't think any Florida State fan said, oh, that's a loss when we played Georgia Tech last week. So
including me, and I'm not a Florida State fan.
Correct. So in college football, there are no, oh, that's a win, easy, unless it's these kind of some of these games we were talking about where it's like UT Martin coming in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'd keep that in mind. We're both going A&M. I liked it a lot better, like I said, when they were not 3-point favorites, but alas. All right. Not Florida State, Fresno State and Michigan. Michigan opens up the defense of the national title. It's going to be tough. They don't have hardly anybody back, just 6 total players back from the team last year. That's on offense and defense. They are 21-point favorites here against Fresno State. A couple things. It does show you Vegas is thinking, ooh, we don't know about Michigan. And 2, Fresno State is a quality opponent. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Thoughts on this game? This is tricky. I think if you believe in Fresno State, you might be able to play them here.
Oh, well, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
No question in my mind. It all's going to depend on can Fresno State move the ball enough and not give Michigan points.
Yeah.
If they don't give them points, I think they beat this spread. I don't know what Michigan is. I don't know. They it took them a while last year to become really dynamic offensively. This is the first game of the year with a new coach, a new quarterback, a new running back against a decent team. And Fresno's not going to be afraid of them, I don't think. The whole key to cashing this bet, if you pick Fresno State, they can't give Michigan points because if they do, Michigan's probably going to cover.
Yep.
If they give them a couple of scores, then I think they cover. I wish it was just a dab more. I could see them late making it 31-10 or 34-10. But is this Michigan team that good to beat this team that bad? I don't know. If I bet it, and I'm seriously considering that being one of my best ones, I'm going with Fresno State plus 21.
I'm staying away, but I would lean that side of it because we know a lot more about Fresno State than we do about Michigan.
Yeah.
Now, what does that really mean? Could Michigan have a lot of guys that were waiting in the wings and they show up and they're just better? Absolutely. I mean, that could happen. I'm with you. I think if I had to pick it, I'd go Fresno. I'm going to stay away, but I think Fresno. I think they make sense with plus 21. That's a lot of points for a team that doesn't have hardly any experience on the other side.
I have a feeling that line may fluctuate just a dab, so you might want to wait a while before you bet that one.
I would agree.
I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't go down just a little, maybe.
Yeah, I would agree with what you're saying there.
Yeah,
that's good logic.
I wouldn't take it at any less than 21. I don't think.
Right. Yeah, I agree. All right, final game on Saturday is New Mexico at Arizona. If you missed it, New Mexico lost at home to Montana State in week 1, so not a good way to start their season. They have to now go on to Arizona. Arizona 31-point favorite. We know new coach there at Arizona. They do have their great quarterback back. They did lose some guys, though, in the portal. Offensively, still should be okay. But what do you think with this New Mexico team? They do have a game under their belt, even though it was a loss.
Well, it was a heartbreaker, too. I watched
they blew it. Totally blew it.
They blew the game. Now, a couple of the scores they had in that game were defensive scores.
Okay.
So that skewed that score some. But I think they're going to be That was just a loss. If they'd have got that win, it would have really, even though it was against an FCS school, it was a good FCS school, and they were dominating them. And then they missed a field goal that could have gave them a 10-point lead late. And when they missed that field goal, that was it. So I think they're going to be down a little bit. I like Arizona to cover this one. I kind of think they come out and romp them.
I do too. I get what you're saying about New Mexico, but they were double-digit underdogs at home to Montana State. So, they, like I said, they covered the spread. They should have won.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah. So maybe they cover again. I don't think so though. I'm going to go Arizona. All right, 2 biggies to go. We'll go to Sunday, September 1st. First day of September gives us USC and LSU in Las Vegas. LSU a 4-point favorite here. They were like a 6-point favorite at one point. So the money's starting to come in a little bit on USC. It's number 13 versus number 23. It's a very intriguing game. It is a massive game for both schools. If they can get it, they're going to feel a whole lot better than they did before. That's for sure.
Yep.
Thoughts? Who's going to win this game?
Totally staying away from this one.
Yeah,
I don't have any idea about either quarterback. No clue. And if USC doesn't have a good offense, they're in big trouble. And I don't know if they do. Yeah. We don't know. Like, when has Lincoln Riley went into a season with a quarterback we don't know a thing about?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, we don't know anything, do we? He's not hyped up.
I mean, we know him from the bowl game, and he looked great in the bowl game.
Yeah, but the bowl game,
means nothing. Means nothing.
Doesn't mean a thing.
Yep.
He wasn't playing LSU either. So,
right.
And again, with LSU, we know a little bit about their guy, but I think LSU has much better players across the. Well, I'm not going to say much better, but better players across the board. If I was going to pick the game, I would pick them. But they laid an egg last year in the opening game of the season and just got slaughtered.
Yeah.
So, and then they got better because, Kelly does a great job with them. USC is not hyped at all. Sometimes when you're not very well thought of, you play better than when you are well thought of. It won't surprise me if USC beats them. I would pick LSU if I was forced to, but I just don't know enough about either team at the moment.
I think people it was very heavily advertised how bad USC was on defense last year, right? We all know it.
Yeah.
I think people forget just how bad LSU was defensively too.
They were
brutal last year. Who do you have more confidence in as a head coach, as a program, getting that defense better this year?
Well, there's no question.
And that's why I'm taking LSU. Here's the deal. This is it. This is what it is all about right here. Whose ever defense plays best will win the game. And I think that's going to be LSU.
Yeah.
But if LSU is not any better defensively, USC could certainly win this game. I just got to think that LSU is going to be a little bit better defensively than they were last year, and therefore they're going to win. But this is a toss-up. There's too many unknowns, like you said.
Yeah, there is. I don't know.
What will either defense be? Big question mark. What will the quarterbacks be in this game? Yeah, we know there's hype on both of them. What will they actually be when we start a season and we're, who knows? I think that's the problem about betting this game. So I see a lot of people taking the over. That's probably Dennis took the over first half,
Not
31
bad.
points. I could see it. Yep. But
the only thing that scares me with taking the over, we don't know who's the quarterback. We don't know if they're any good. And
that's why I wouldn't bet the overs either, because the line obviously is very high because it's USC. And what are we at quarterback? We still don't really know with either team. This is more of a sit back and watch game.
I think so. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think you lose money on it if you don't.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Final game before we kind of go back through some of the other ones. Final ranked game. It'll be Monday, September 2nd. This is Labor Day. Boston College taking on Florida State. And we've waited all show. The disaster in Dublin for Florida State last week, losing on a last-second field goal to Georgia Tech. They are 16.5-point favorites here as they return home to take on Boston College.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. That's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points, and you don't know what this trip to Dublin's going to do to you. They do have a couple of extra days to recover.
Yeah.
That's a long ass trip, jet lag. You're over there a while. You're in surroundings that you don't know, and now you got to come back and get ready for a team. The thing about Boston College, they always play hard. They're usually in the game. You don't just steamroll them usually.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually 6-7, 7-6. They're a fringe bowl team, and
they've given Florida State problems at Boston College in the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm. They've done that for a lot of teams. So I would take Boston College plus 16.5. If Florida State struggles in this one offensively, I don't think they stay with that quarterback if they've got somebody else down there. I really don't. But the other thing, too, I didn't realize, I didn't do my homework enough. Georgia Tech came on last year.
Yep.
I am very impressed with their offense and their coach. He made a lot of sense in interviews and things. They have a brutal schedule, and it's going to keep them probably from being a little bit better than what they might be. But their offense just kept Florida State off balance. They could not stop their offense.
Mm-hmm.
They went down and tied that game at 21, and I thought, okay, they're going to win this thing. They're going to escape. They'll stop them, kick a field goal, and beat them.
Yeah,
and they couldn't stop.
Georgia.
I think Georgia Tech had the ball last 7 minutes of the game. Just ran out the clock.
Yep,
because they couldn't stop them.
Yep.
And they had them 3rd and 17 one or 3rd and 12 or something like that once through a pass. And I think it was 4th and 2, and then they got the first down.
Yep.
They couldn't stop them. They could not. So that surprised me a little bit. I thought their defense their front would stop them. They couldn't do it. So I'm going to go Boston College plus 16.5. I may regret it. I won't bet this game though, because Florida State may come out and play a lot better.
Yeah, this is another one. It's just like how will they respond? It could, if it's poorly though, they might get beat again. Honestly, but I think Boston College is not as good as Georgia Tech, but I do think Boston College is decent. Mm-hmm. And they can beat you if you're not on your game. If you're Florida State, I don't know how you take Florida State. That being said, they'll probably cover because it's college football and they'll bounce back, but it's tough to swallow 16.5 in this one. So
their defense is going to have to play better because they're not going to score a bunch of points with that guy quarterback. They're just not.
They're not. The only way they're scoring a bunch of points this year is they can just run over people, and they could not run over Georgia Tech. No. And we'll see though with Boston College. I'm not touching this in either.
No, I'm not either.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any games specifically you want to talk about before I go into a couple?
I've got a couple of Lulus here. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go through your list first.
I always go for the obscure games.
Okay.
I think a fascinating game involves Georgia Tech.
Okay.
Are they going to be flat?
You would think there's a good chance of it. Yep.
Yeah. They're 20.5 point favorites against Georgia State, which is a decent team.
They're not bad.
Yep. Has a quarterback back. That's a game that I would kind of look at as an upset special because I just feel like Georgia Tech has to play Saturday. Florida State plays on Monday.
Right.
Florida State's got 2 extra days.
Quick turnaround.
Georgia Tech had to come right back from Ireland and start preparing for this game. And to me, the hardest part is going to be to get them mentally ready for a team that's decent. And if Georgia Tech's not on their game, I don't know if they're good enough to cover 20.5 if they're not ready to play. And all things point to them not bringing it like they did. This is, I think, a spread you look at. And if you got the guts, you throw a little bit of money on Georgia State.
I would have the guts. If you were listening right now, I would do it. I agree. And how many times do we see this? The next week after a team like Georgia Tech will beat somebody like Florida State, they come back and they lose or they win by 3 and they barely escape or something like that. Yeah. So I think it'll be a tough game. And like I said, Georgia State, Georgia Tech, Georgia State is sitting there thinking the same thing we are. hey, we're not awful. It's a big game. I don't know
Mhm.
how big of a rivalry that is between these two schools.
Well,
It
I
seems like
think they're
it would
both
be.
in Atlanta.
Right. It seems like it'd be a rivalry. We might be able to sneak up there and beat them. So,
Right. I don't know if they can beat them, but I think they can cover that.
well, if
Hey,
they
come up there to that BYU game. I just see this. I might have missed this one. Who do they play?
Southern Illinois
14?
people are people as in Vegas and people that set the numbers, they are very, very low on BYU this year. But they should cover 14
14?
points against Southern Illinois. Yeah.
Give me a voucher. I'm picking that right now. That is nuts.
Okay. Yeah,
Don't
I agree
you
with that.
think?
Yeah, that's
That should
crazy.
be 24, even if you're shitty.
That's what I would think.
Southern
Yeah.
Illinois is never any good. They're 5-7 in that conference most of the time.
Yep.
My goodness. I'm glad that was there. I didn't see that. I'm all over that. If I lose that one, I don't even care.
I'm with you on
I
that.
can't believe that.
Yep. That's crazy.
Southern Illinois is going to go to Provo, Utah, and play that within 14. I would be shocked.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Neither. Okay, another one. UNLV at Houston.
Okay.
I would say that would probably be a Saturday night game.
Yeah,
Maybe.
right here.
Okay. Houston, 2.5-point favorite. UNLV has had one winning season in their history, probably. It was last year, but if you look, they faded badly down the stretch. Houston has Willie Fritz there now, who's a program builder.
Yep.
Who went to Tulane and did miracles. I don't know if he has enough time yet to get this turned around, but if I'm in the Big 12, I'm scared to death of what's going to happen with Houston in the next few years because this guy can coach and he will get that thing going. I like Houston in this game at 2.5.
Yeah, we'll see UNLV probably more of the more ready-made team after kind of coming out last year and being decent. But yeah, Houston, new coach. You know there's players down there that were very undisciplined. We'll see if he can kind of right the ship. I think he can do it a little quicker because he should have a better base of players, but we'll see what happens. Okay, anything else?
Quite ready to do it yet.
Right. Could be.
Another one that I think is really interesting, UCLA.
Yeah, I like this one too.
Projected not to do very well this year.
Yep.
Has to leave the mainland and go to Hawaii, which is always tough. And Hawaii has played a game. And Hawaii's average in the Mountain West, but they're a little better when you got to go out there.
Yep.
14 points. I wish it was a little bit more, but I think this is one you might look at. Hawaii was not real impressive last week. It's the only thing that's really got me laying back a little. But I could see Hawaii maybe even winning this game.
Yep.
So I like that one some.
I love Hawaii in this game.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me 14 points in Hawaii all day. You know, look, last week, it's a tough week. I wouldn't take much stock in what happened last week. It's August 24th. It's just not football season. So I think you'll start to take more stock in what happens the weeks after that.
Well, they're going to be ready.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're going to be
ready.
The
other one, there's two more. Virginia Tech, who I'm way high on.
Okay.
Goes to Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Now, it's Vanderbilt can play tough. I mean, there's games they hang in there. It's 13.5-point favorites. Virginia Tech. Is that too many?
I don't think so.
If they're good, shouldn't they cover that?
That just did. How good are they?
That's the key. They played great down the stretch last year. They got everybody back.
Yep.
You would think they could go in and win by more than 13.5.
Well, if they can't, we've got them overrated because I like them. I don't like them as much as you, but I like them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
Are they good enough to cover 13.5 on game one on the road?
I think they are.
I do too. The other one.
Go ahead.
And this is the kind of game that Iowa loses. Miami of Ohio, which is picked highly in the MAC, goes to Northwestern, which is coming off a 9 win season, and Northwestern's only a 3-point favorite.
Right.
So it's tempting to take Northwestern and 3 points at home, but Northwestern's the type of team that loses this game.
Yep. 39.5 points, all the
Yeah.
total is. So that kind of
Yeah.
shows you they do not think this is going to be an offensive game
No.
whatsoever.
But those are just games I think are very interesting. Do you have another one I missed?
I've got 2 to talk about if you're
Okay.
done with your list. Yeah.
I'm done.
Okay, let's go to today because we got 2
Okay.
games
Oh,
tonight.
I do have one today. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Go ahead. You do it.
okay, so we'll go to today. The first one I want to talk about, if I can find it, here it is. It's there it is. I want to talk about the North Carolina Minnesota game. Clash of styles tonight.
Yep.
That's a tough place to go play on a Thursday night.
Better play. Yeah, I agree.
Give me the underdog. I like Minnesota plus the 2 points tonight against North Carolina. I think the clash of styles favors Minnesota. And I think Minnesota's a little bit better at quarterback, will be able to throw the ball a little bit more tonight. I think they'll stop North Carolina enough. Not a very good defense there at North Carolina, never is. Give me Minnesota plus 2.
I like that one a lot. I just don't think North Carolina's quite ready yet to go in there and win that game. If it was in Chapel Hill, I might think the other way around.
Yep.
But North Carolina's breaking in a quarterback, and I think that's going to be a hostile environment for a new guy to go in to win. So I'm with you.
Yep. And then this, to me, is the most interesting game of the night. North Dakota State on the road against Colorado. I got it at 10. I took North Dakota State plus 10. It's now 9.5. I still think that's playable. Yeah. Give me North Dakota State plus 9.5 or 10 here against Colorado. I am not a believer in Colorado.
Oh, God, no. I see the couple magazines I've looked at. They got Colorado in the top 50. You kidding me?
No way.
I got them like 100 and something.
Yeah.
I just think it's a train wreck out there. I think it's nuts.
I will say that
wrong, but I don't think so. I'm with you. The only thing that concerns me just a little bit is North Dakota State starting to drop just a little. I don't know. If they're as good as they have been, I think they beat them because they're too disciplined. The quarterback, Deion's kid, could bust some stuff against them, maybe. I mean, he's good enough. But I don't know. And if Colorado's going to win, I think maybe early in this season they get them. I don't know. But because they seem to go down as the year goes on. I like the next game.
All right. So the next game is Coastal Carolina, Jacksonville State. This is the one you want to talk about today. What do you think about this one?
I went with Jacksonville State. Coastal Carolina lost their quarterback. He transferred to NC State, I believe. 3-year guy. Coastal Carolina's won a lot of games with him. They kind of regressed a little bit last year. Jacksonville State had a great first season in D1. They're well coached. Their defense is really good. They did lose their D coordinator. He came to OU. So I just think 3 points at home, I like them a lot in this game. I think they cover that.
All right, Jacksonville State. I think that'll be a great game tonight. I don't know.
Oh, these 2 7:00 games are great tonight.
I mean, when you look at these games, that's a good game. This is a good game. All 3 of these are good.
All 3 of them at 7:00.
I'm trying to say that there was a late game. There's not. Never mind. Those are the 3. You can get a look at Missouri if you want to see them. And then that's about it. There's nobody else playing tonight.
No, the other
7:00 games are good.
Yeah.
All right. Any other games? Is that it? Is that all you want to talk about?
That's it.
That's it. Any final kind of closing thoughts before we get off of here?
Well, it'll be interesting who we're talking about on Monday as to who is just terrible that we thought was going to be good, because there'll be somebody that don't play very well. Somebody will get upset somewhere.
It was definitely Florida State week 0. So we'll see what it is week 1.
Let's say LSU, for example, beats USC 38-10. What is the story going to be in USC land if that happens?
it's going to be bad.
I don't think it'll happen, but what if and another one is too, what if Georgia beats Clemson 45-10? How many people are going to be on Dabo for his beliefs?
I was going to say the likely panic teams after week 1. I would say, I'm just going to scroll through this. Teams to likely really, Colorado would really be panicked if they lost. And that's very possible. I'm telling you right now, it's possible they lose that game tonight.
Florida State if they lose another one.
I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Who'd you say?
Florida State if they lose.
Well, that's our win or lose is not going to matter. Clemson could definitely be panicked. This team right here, Penn State, they want to hate their coach anyway, but they can't because he wins too many, but he can't beat anybody any good. If they lose that opener, that's going to be widespread panic there in Penn State. Like I said, we already have Florida State. This school right here, Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Big time panic situation.
I don't know if they'll panic. They've seen it before.
That's true. That is true.
But
the loser of this game is going to be it's going to be bad.
Yes.
I pointed to Miami and Florida.
No doubt.
If Nebraska scores like 17 points, they're going to think they're not any good anymore again.
That's true.
But I don't think that'll happen. I'm just kind of looking some of these other ones with the panic button going to get hit right away. I'm not seeing a whole lot of other ones that are predictable, I should say.
Right.
Let's keep going here. I'm trying to find the Alabama situation. I mean, if they only win by 10, 14,
it's close. Yeah.
Yep. They're Alabama's on panic alert the whole first half of the season.
They are. Yeah.
We'll see though. But they shouldn't have to hit the panic button after week 1.
But they're just waiting for it.
Yeah, for sure. I think this Notre Dame A&M situation will be interesting. If the game's close, I don't think either team panics, but say Notre Dame gets beat by 21 or A&M gets beat by 21, there's going to be some problems there.
If this game's close.
This Michigan situation is going to be fascinating. I don't think they're losing this game. That game could get tight. And boy, oh boy, are we going to hear about it if it does. UCLA, but I don't think
anybody cares.
Yeah, exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth. That's probably it. I mean, those are the predictable, we're very panicked situations.
Yep.
I would say. But yeah. And then of course we mentioned it, but this here's the deal with the USC LSU game. To me, if LSU loses again in an opening game that they were favored in, their fans are going to lose their shit. Like they're going to lose their mind. USC, I really think all they have to do is not give up 45. Like if they lose the game, but it's 31-28, I think USC fans will go, you know what? We lost. That sucks. But hey, maybe we're better. Yeah. Yeah. So, but look, I think if USC gives up 50, gives up 45, loses, 45-41 or something like that, I think there's no seat hotter than Riley's if that continues to happen, honestly, other than maybe the guy at Florida. But
he's already fired.
Hey, if they beat Miami week 1, it'll be a good start for them. But yeah, if they lose, he might get fired after the game. Who knows? That's how much they hate him. But yeah, the USC game is just really interesting because LSU fans believe they're going to be in the playoff. I think that's a no-brainer.
Oh yeah,
you lose that game, you lose it again, and not to USC again, but that opening game again, it's going to get a little dicey there. I think so. In LSU. So, all right, that's
I don't know how anybody can assume or think that USC is going to have a good defense. He's never had a team that's had a defense.
Nope. And
doesn't matter who the coordinator is. It doesn't matter.
No. But look, I mean, from the outside looking in, things are not going well. Their recruiting even is not going well, and that's a real shock.
Yeah, it is.
So it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes for them this year. And he could shut everybody up if they turn it around, but
no doubt. And they might.
Yep. They absolutely might. All right. Anything else before we leave?
Nope, I think it covers it. It's
All
gonna be
right,
fun.
we are gonna get out of here. Blinkers off will be back 58 minutes away from Blinkers off. We're gonna talk a lot about horse racing, believe it or not. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of thoughts on the Travers, and then the big races coming up this weekend, long weekend with Labor Day, and there's a lot going on. So we'll be here for that. We'll be back next week here on Dudes Who Bet Sports to pick week 2 of college football, week 1 of the NFL, and kind of recap everything that happened on this weekend. All right, guys, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you right back here next week.